Hello, I'm Frost and welcome to this Planetfall guide, and in this guide I'm going to be covering Doomsday weapons, how to set it up, how to trigger it, along with some recommendations on how to do it as effectively as possible. Okay, let's get started. So there are two main steps to your Doomsday weapon. The first one is actually building the necessary structures for your Doomsday weapon. And then the second step is actually launching the Doomsday weapon and then surviving 10 turns in order for your Doomsday weapon to actually take effect. Now, the process involved is twofold, as I mentioned. Now, if we go up to our objectives up in the top left-hand corner here, and we go to Doomsday, which is under the development column, and we look at it, we can see the steps. So step one is research Omega Strain. So the names will change depending on your secret tech, but the process is identical. So I'm using Xenoplague, so it's called Omega Strain. And this one will be halfway up your secret tech skill tree. So you need to train that skill. And then you have to construct the structures I mentioned. So in the case of the Xenoplague, it's called the Omega Hive. And then we have to research Omega Awakening. So let's go quickly into the military skill tree. There we go. So you can see Omega Strain is right here in the middle of the, literally in the middle of the secret tech skill tree. And you have two icons. The first one is so that you can build the structures, which in this case are called Omega Hive. And you also get a strategic operation. And this strategic operation gets bonuses based on the number of structures you build. And then you had the second skill, which in my case was called Omega Transcendence. And you can see it's right up the top here. So it's right at the end of your secret tech skill tree. And you can see it requires 2,763 research points to build. And based on the amount of research points I'm doing per turn right now, that would take 26 turns. So you do have to give yourself some time. And we will cover how to speed up this process as well in a sec. So there you go. So those are the two skills. And then we have to build these structures. So you've done your first skill. And the way you build the structures is you can only have one per colony, and you have to assign which sector your Doomsday structure is going to be in. So you can see right in the middle here, Igneous Heights, I have built one of my structures already. And if we move down to here, you can see I'm building one in Quendafil and I'm building another one in Gesufil. And the thing you need to bear in mind with this is that you will get attacked once you launch your Doomsday weapon. And so therefore you want your structures to be all as close as possible, and you want your colonies to be as close as possible. And if you actually look on the map down here in the bottom right hand side, you can see I've picked an area that's right in the middle of my colonies and as far away from other races as possible, and if possible have NPC factions on your borders as well, as that acts as more of a buffer. And if we go back down, you can see now I'm busy constructing this. If we look at the structures, here we go, Omega Hive, you can see it takes 200 energy units, but more importantly, it takes 50 cosmite. So you really have to build up your cosmite. You need 150 cosmite in order to build the 3 structures necessary. So bear that in mind, that takes a bit of time to build up. Now, obviously as well, because it requires 640 production units, it takes quite a few turns, and you will most likely be building these in colonies that aren't necessarily optimized for production. So what you're going to want to do is, for Quenfadil, for example, is go into your People tab and make sure you click on the up arrow on this one and allocate as many people as you can to production for this one, and also for the other structure that I'm building here, Gesufil. You can see I haven't allocated all my people to that, so we're going to do that. There we go, and that's full. So that's going to speed it up and go as fast as possible. Now, if you remember, we still need to train up that end skill, and that end skill is going to require a lot of research points. So what we're going to want to do is all the other colonies, ideally what you want to do is make sure that you allocate as much resource to people, to research as you can. So you can see at the moment I'm at 278. I've got one here that specializes, here we go, that specializes in research. You can see I've got lots of research holes there for my people. So I'm going to allocate all of those, and then also, if you can, generate knowledge as well, which you should have had acquired the skill by now to do that. It's in the structure production tab right down the bottom. Make sure you generate knowledge, and that will reduce drastically the number of turns necessary to actually get to that skill. So there you go. So that's kind of getting you up and running and getting everything started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward to the game now and get these structures built. and then I'm going to come back to a point when it's kind of we're a little bit further along in the process. And here we go. We're now at turn 83, so you can see this took a little while, but I have now built my my 3 Doomsday structures. You can see I've got one in Igneous Heights, I have one in the Cliffs of Inanity, and one over here on the left in Manchetti Woods. You also see that I've started moving all my armies into the area. So I've got 4 armies right here. I then have another army sitting up here in Movindrell. And so everything is now being, so let me zoom out and go into the military. You can see, there we go. So all my armies have been coalesced into one point, all based around my colonies and my Doomsday structures, as these all need to be protected. And as you can see, I have now trained up the Omega Transcendent skill. So if we go into the doctrines, is it doctrines? Is doctrines? No, sorry, strategic. There we go. If we go into strategic, you can see we now have Omega Awakening, which is the Doomsday. And it's going to take 500 energy, so you're going to need to make sure you've got plenty of energy to save, but it's also going to take 4 turns. So the next step is you've got to prime that. There we go, so that's now priming. And then I will see you in 4 turns time. Okay, we've made it to turn 87. We've done those 4 turns. And it is now time for me to launch my Doomsday weapon, which is right here, Omega Awakening. By the way, if you can see right on the description right now, it says requires Omega Strain level 3. That's a little bit confusing. You think, well, what do I need to train to level 3? All that actually means is you need 3 structures. So unless you have the 3 structures built, then you can't proceed. So that's what it means by level 3. It's kind of a little bit confusing, and I thought I'd better mention that. Because at first I was chasing around the skill tree trying to understand this. So there you go. You just need to have 3 Doomsday structures. Right, let's hit the button. So let's click on that and launch now. And then predictably, what's going to happen is people are going to get a little bit pissed. Okay, so we can see now the Doomsday weapon deploying. And the consequences of this,
war has been declared upon us.
Everyone is going to go to war with you.
War has been declared upon us.
I'm sorry.
War has been
I don't think they're going to forgive me for this. Yeah, they're pretty pissed. So there we go. So now everyone's at war with me, and I have to try and protect all of my necessary structures and the colonies that are associated to it. So we're going to move along, and I'm going to just jump to some sort of notable moments just so you can see what kind of things to expect. Okay, so we've moved forward a few turns, and my opponents have reacted. And if I actually zoom out, you can see that up here I have a whole bunch of armies that have decided to attack me now. What is quite surprising is they haven't gone for my colonies that are associated with the Doomsday structures. Instead, they're going for my HQ. Now, if it had been anything else, any other colony than my HQ, I wouldn't have worried about it. But I would rather deal with this because if I lose the colony, then obviously if I lose my commander as well in another battle, then I've lost the game. So I'm going to move some colonies up, some armies up, and deal with this and get rid of these guys, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, so I managed to defeat those guys, and as you can see, so there's my HQ up there. It's all nice and safe. And if we zoom down, you can see I'm busy moving my troops back now. It's now turn 95. But down here, you can see I'm getting attacked now from this end. Fortunately, I left some armies behind. I moved some armies down from Movindrell because I had an army up there. And because I left a couple of armies behind, I'm in a position to defend. So make sure, obviously, that if you've got to move some armies, don't move all of them, leave some behind, just in case you get attacked on another front. So it's now time for me to deal with these guys. Unfortunately, I have sort of 3 armies of 6 here that are all pretty powerful. They're powerful enough for me to be able to take this on. So I am now going to fight these guys. Okay, so I managed to successfully dispatch that army. And if I now zoom out and go to my military map, you can see that there is nothing around close to my colonies. There are some armies up here, but they are far too far away, and I've only got literally 2 turns now before winning the game through the Doomsday. They're not going to be able to make their way all the way down here in 2 turns, so I've kind of assured myself my victory. So there we go. That's how you do the Doomsday. I'm not going to show you the final thing, obviously, because I don't want to spoil it too much for you. You need to know what a victory looks like for yourself. I hope you found that useful. Please leave me comments. If I think I missed something, then or you got some extra tips, then please do leave the comments and let me know. If you liked, then give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like, let me know, and please let me know why. And as usual, I am sort of producing these fairly regularly, these guides to Planetfall. So if you want to know more, make sure you hit the bell icon and you subscribe. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and see you at the next one. Bye.